What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for November 19th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. It is Tuesday, so it's time for a little motivation / positivity. And today, since we did kick off our food and gift card drive on Sunday, which, by the way, we've already beat what we raised last year. Thank you. Let's continue to just blow that number out of the water. I wanted to take a minute and just tell you about the charity that we are raising money for, the Mattie N Dixon Community Cupboard. It is located on Main Street in Ambler. It was founded in 1973 by a longtime Ambler resident, Mattie N Dixon, who started serving families out of her basement. All she wanted to do, she was shocked and appalled that some of her neighbors were going hungry, so she wanted to help them out, started serving meals out of her basement, and it had grown into, I believe it was 1994 when they bought the spot on Main Street in Ambler. So 50 plus years later, they're still helping out the community. If you know anything about the area where I live, sort of the little pocket here in Montgomery County, you wouldn't necessarily think that there are families here that are going hungry, but times are tough for everyone. Everybody goes through some stuff. So to have an organization like this that is there for the people in our community when they need it most is just amazing. Their mission is to facilitate the concept of neighbors helping neighbors. And I really enjoy that because, God forbid, if I'm ever down and out, I would hope and be thankful for my neighbors to help me and my family out. They take care of food, clothing, any types of goods like toilet paper, paper towels, napkins, feminine hygiene products, all of that stuff. Money in certain special cases if families need it. And then the programs they have, we're raising money right now for the holiday gift card, which allows families to actually go out and buy presents for their kids so they can have a happy holiday season, and whether it's Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever. And it's really such a great organization with that. They do back to school programs. They have fill up backpacks for kids with school supplies. It's just a great organization. I'm very, very proud to work with them and really continue their mission that was started in Mattie N Dixon's basement 50 plus years ago. So let's continue to make some holiday magic happen for our friends and neighbors. The link you need is in the description. As I said, we've already blown out last year's gift card donation number out of the water. I want to continue to make that grow. December 1st, we'll start the reverse advent calendar where each day we'll spotlight an item that the community cupboard needs in order to help these families out through the holiday season. But it's a great organization located right there in Ambler. And as I said, you'd be surprised at how many people in this area, you wouldn't think it, but do need help, especially around the holidays. So again, the title of our whole campaign is Let's Make Holiday Magic Happen. So do your part to make holiday magic happen. Any bit you can donate is greatly appreciated. There's a GoFundMe in there. And again, if you want to donate directly to the Mattie N Dixon Community Cupboard, right on their website, they have a spot. You can go drop it in person, send them a check in the mail. Just make sure that you mention us so they know that where you got the idea and where you heard from them. They're always grateful. They're constantly looking for donations and way to help out the community. So let's be good neighbors and help our neighbors and friends out and make some holiday magic happen. And that is today's Tuesday positivity / motivation. Some quick housekeeping notes before we get into today's episode. Follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont at Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Continue to spread the word. Like I said yesterday, this is more of like a grassroots thing, and I don't have the Swifties and the NFL Kelsey money behind me to back me up. So this is where you come in. Let's continue to spread the word. If you're enjoying this, having some fun, let's continue to do that. I was looking at some ideas last night to upgrade some of my equipment from a video perspective and things like that. So good things are coming on the horizon. I've been mentioning we've been featured in the On Pattison newsletter a couple times a week. So go check them out. Getting the word out. I'm trying to become the Philly sports history guy, I guess, if you want to say that's my long-term goals here. But spread the word, like and subscribe, and let's outsmart the algorithm. Everything you need about the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame is also in the description. This year's induction ceremony is up. The online archives are up. I updated with some pictures from the induction ceremony last night. So if you want to take a look at that and see what we're up to, everything you need is in the description. All right, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, in honor of the day that the Phillies traded for Bobby Abreu, is Bobby Abreu overrated or underrated and underappreciated in Philly? 72% of you said yes, he is. And the people that were against this were very vocal. Shout out to Ken in Wyncote and Kyle in Parksburg, who were very adamant that his numbers were shallow and he is extremely overrated. I could not disagree more. I feel like he gets a bad rep because he was the best player on some very shitty teams. And baseball obviously is different than the other sports. But is Bobby Abreu supposed to make Marlon Anderson and Desi Relaford major league quality players? If you look back at some of the dreck that those Phillies teams were putting out, that doesn't fall on Bobby. It's not his fault that Ed Wade got lucky with the trade with him, and he was a legitimate bona fide star, and the rest of the team was just horrible. But that's just my take. Thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. We will have another one later on in the show. Sticking with the Phillies, Andrew Painter had himself a pretty good season in the Arizona Fall League. He won their Pitcher of the Year. Struggled in his first two starts, his first competitive pitching in over a year, and then really just locked it down. And that's going to be huge going into 2025. Looking forward to seeing kind of where he fits in with the rotation, if he's going to be on an innings restriction, or kind of how the Phillies are going to play that. But it seems like he's a little bit ahead of schedule and where they thought he would be. So that is some good news. Lots of rumors going around about the Phillies. I don't even want to get into them, but I want no parts of Alex Bregman at 11 years, whatever $1 million. No, thank you. But we'll see how that all plays out. But back to Painter, the only question I have is, can he hit and can he lay off outside pitches? Yikes. All right, some Eagles news as we get ready to take on the Rams. And again, everybody's talking about the schedule, and you can only play who's on your schedule. And yes, there's been some bad teams, but minus the Tampa Bay game, this defense has been lights out, and the numbers now, 10 games into the season, show that they've given up the fewest yards per game, the fewest passing yards in the NFC. And yes, like I said, the schedule is what it is, and this week's going to be a huge test against the Rams. But, come on, you got to think that with this young talent, Vic Fangio is able to maximize and get the most out of them. I'm very, very bullish on this defense. I think they're coming together. I've said it 1,000 times at this point. Going back to my Eagles preview, those first 4 weeks were going to be dicey. The bye week coming in week 5 was a blessing in disguise for this team. And we've seen that since the bye week, they've been outstanding. So shout out to the Eagles. I just wanted to put those numbers out there because I saw that and I'm just like, man, that's pretty impressive no matter what teams you're playing, because they're able to do it consistently. And again, other than that Tampa Bay game, and even going back before the bye, I still think other than the last drive in Atlanta, Saquon catches that ball, we're having a different conversation. They did a good job against Jordan Love and the Packers. It's just the defense is playing well, and I think it's time to kind of give them the credit they deserve. All right, so some NFC East news. I guess we'll start with the Cowboys getting blown out. Still have not won a home game, 34-10. And I think the most poetic justice of all was they tried to open the roof for a Monday Night Football game, and the stadium started to fall apart. Literally pieces of the roof were falling onto the field, forcing them to close the roof, and the workers were up there like securing pieces. It's great. I'm sorry. That is just very symbolic of the Cowboys season, is the roof falling in on them. The sky, so to speak, is literally falling on the Cowboys. And then from one dumpster fire to another, the Giants are benching Daniel Jones. Now, you might think Drew Lock is the backup. So, all right, they'll put in Drew Lock. He's an NFL quarterback. Not great, but whatever. Nope, they're going to Tommy Cutlets. Tommy DeVito will get the start for the Giants, who appear to be waving the white flag as well. And again, you got to love it when you see it. So the Cowboys are the dumpster fire I thought they would be. The Giants are turning into the dumpster fire I thought they would turn into. And I'm all here for it. I love every second of it. Every time I'm all about it. All right, sticking with the dumpster fire theme, the Sixers got blown out last night, 106-89 down in Miami. Joe was doubtful because he was sick. This last minute he played. I guess if you call what he did on the court yesterday playing, he was just not good. I don't know if he felt the pressure from the team, fans, the NBA, whoever to play, but only scored 11 points, didn't shoot well, seemed like he was struggling to move up and down the court. I don't know if it was the illness, he's still out of shape, maybe he's hurt. I don't know. Paul George sucked. He struggled to make some shots. They cannot shoot. This team had a 19-point lead late in the second quarter and completely flipped it the other way. The one lone bright spot, again, was Jared McCain. I think we got a bona fide player with him. But, man, this team is in trouble. They're now 2-11. They go to Memphis on Wednesday. And I don't even... I'm this close to being out. Like, I think at this point, we're better off just trying to play for a lottery pick at this point. I know the East is not great, but, man, this hole is going to be hard to get out of. Just a mess. So that leads to today's question of the day. We just went through the trifecta of dumpster fires that impact Philly sports. But which one is the biggest? Who is the bigger dumpster fire? The Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants, or your Philadelphia 76ers? I'd be hard-pressed to choose one here. I mean, you could make a strong argument for both. My gut lean is probably the Sixers, just because of the expectations. But, I mean, you can see the similarities and different the same characteristics for all three. But let's have some fun with this today. Who's the bigger dumpster fire? Cowboys, Giants, Sixers. 267-495-8531 is the Back to the Future voice and text line. Word of the day, boys and girls, dumpster fire. And when you think dumpster fire, do you think the Giants? Do you think the Cowboys? Or do you think the Sixers? I don't think there's a wrong answer here. But let me know your thoughts on the Back to the Future voice and text line. 267-495-8531. Flyers last night lost 3-2 to the Avalanche. Got down early 3-0 and couldn't complete the comeback. Tyson Forrester and Owen Tippett both scored for the Flyers. And it ends their 3-game winning streak. And this team is close. They are close. I don't know how many times we've said that so far this year, that they got themselves into an early hole that they weren't able to get out of, and they've battled back. If they can just limit those early mistakes and not get down early, this team is a playoff team. Unfortunately, they are young, and they keep making those mistakes, but you're down 3-0. It makes it hard. And then they catch fire and play hard. If they can somehow bottle that third period energy and spread it out through the rest of the game, they would be okay. They're in Carolina tomorrow night. Carolina comes here tomorrow night. Hopefully they can get back on the winning track. But again, they're playing well. It's almost like they're having the little league period where they're getting down early and they can't recover from it. But Flyers lose 3-2 to the Colorado Avalanche. Be sure to check out my boys at the Clashing Conferences podcast. It should be a very entertaining NFC East pod this week. That is available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. And then go check out Philly Goat. It's not too early at this point. Actually, we're right in the season now, so you're right on time to get some holiday shopping done. They got you covered, whether you want a cooler bag, whether you want hoodies, t-shirts, hats. They got you covered. Go check out their wide selection. Speaking of dumpster fires, you can get the Giants and the Cowboys NFC East parody shirts, the Cow Pies and the Giants. So go check it out, phillygoat.com, and then use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, today we're going to go back to 1978. And on this day in 1978, the Eagles were playing the Giants up in the Meadowlands. Time was winding down, and the Eagles were trailing 17-12. All the Giants had to do was fall on the ball. But Joe Pisarcik, the future Eagle, attempted a handoff to Larry Zonka, who wasn't ready for it. Ball hit off his hip, fumbled it. Herman Edwards scooped it up, returned it 26 yards to give the Eagles a 1917 win. It propelled them to the wild card that season. Really got it going under the Dick Vermeil regime. And this became known as the Miracle at the Meadowlands, one of the most iconic plays in Philadelphia Eagles history. But there's so many questions and there's so much backstory to this. First of all, why did Joe Pisarcik attempt to hand off the ball? Well, the quarterback kneel didn't exist in 1978. So quarterbacks had to kind of take the ball, run, and kind of roll down and give themselves up is usually how they did it. But you risk injuries because you got the team they're playing that is pissed off and they're losing. Cheap shots were – the 70s were different in the NFL. In this particular game, the first play, the Giants attempted – the quarterback roll, I guess you could call it. But Bill Berge blew up the center trying to cause a fumble, trying to push him into Pisarcik. And that really changed what the Giants coaching staff wanted to do. They're like, typically in a situation like that, the defensive line didn't really rush. They were just like, all right, we lost. Let's move on, get out of here. But the Giants were concerned that the Eagles were not giving up that easily. So they called for the handoff to protect Joe Pisarcik. Larry Zonka wanted no parts of it. He was like, do not hand me the ball off. The other players in the Giants huddle were like, Joe, you need to change the play. Do not hand this ball off. And Pisarcik was a little gun shy because the previous week he was yelled at and threatened with being cut by the offensive coordinator, Bob Gibson, because he changed the play and it didn't work out. So essentially, Bob Gibson was like, if you change this play, I'm going to cut you. So Pisarcik obviously did not want to get cut. Also lost in this story is defensive coordinator Marion Campbell called an all-out blitz. The Eagles were ready. They were not giving up on this game. And the only reason Herman Edwards was able to be right there to scoop up the ball was because he was already blitzing in anyway. So lots of backstory to the Miracle of the Meadowlands. Everybody knows the Joe Pisarcik fumble, Herm Edwards scooping it up and scoring, but there was a lot of drama and backstory going to that. On I guess it was CBS had the TV. They were kind of rolling the credits, wrapping up the game. Merle Reese was doing the same thing on the radio, and all of a sudden, Herm Edwards is in the end zone. The Eagles win. It did lead to a change in the way teams, even beginning the next week, went into their victory formation. There was kind of more of a the quarterback would go back, and then there was like 2 or 3 running backs in the backfield to protect any blockers from coming up to get the quarterback. Ultimately, in 1987, the NFL instituted the kneel down, which once the quarterback kneels, play is dead. The clock continues to run. And by the way, Bob Gibson, who called the handoff to Larry Zonka, did get fired. I believe it was the next day, or he might even have been fired on the spot. But on this day, back in 1978, the Miracle at the Meadowlands, Eagles beat the Giants 19-17 when Herm Edwards picked up a Joe Pisarcik fumble and an attempted handoff to Larry Zonka to take it in. Herman Edwards, 26 yards for the scoop and score. The Eagles win. It propelled them to their first playoff berth under Dick Vermeil and essentially changed the entire fortune of the team, because if they lose this game, they don't make the playoffs. So good win for the Eagles. Another bad loss for the Giants. But the miracle at the Meadowlands, the original one, happened on this day back in 1978. All right, we've been doing what we're thankful for. And today we're going to go a little off the beaten path. I'm thankful for the Kelly Green Eagles jerseys. And it's not the same ones they wore in 1978, although I have one of them, a Wilbert Montgomery, in my closet behind me. The Kelly Green jerseys are awesome. I like them as an alternate jersey. I think they're the best alternate jersey in the league, even better than the Tampa Bay creamsicle ones. The way Nike has designed these new jerseys, they look sharp with the high definition TVs. They look great on TV, but most importantly, they're just very nostalgic for me. And I think a lot of us out there listening in my age range, we grew up on the Buddy Ryan teams. I guess the Eagles switched to those jerseys in like 83, 84, somewhere around there. And they weren't the best teams. They didn't win anything, but they were fun. And you always kind of go back to when you started becoming an Eagles fan. And for me, it's Reggie, Jerome, Randall, Clyde Simmons, Seth Joyner, Mike Pitts, Mike Golick, Eric Allen, Byron Evans, Andre Waters, all those guys, and just the Kelly Green in general. Buddy Ryan, those are the teams I grew up on. Love those teams, always will. I think I hold them in higher regard probably than what they should because I grew up on them. And to me, the Kelly Green jersey is like a symbol of my childhood Eagle fandom. Kind of like I always talk about Harry Callis being the sound of my summer, the soundtrack to my summer childhood, just listening to games on the radio when we're out playing wiffle ball or swimming in the pool or whatever. Those Kelly Green just takes me back to the late 80s, early 90s, just how you lived and died with every single play, every week, every game, being in tears when they lost, being ecstatic, thinking they were going to win the Super Bowl when they won. And that's why I'm thankful for the Kelly Green jerseys. I don't want them to wear them all the time. I know there's a lot of people out there that say they should wear the Kelly Green jerseys all the time. No, I like it 2, maybe 3 times a year. I'd like to see it more for like a Dallas game. I think that'd be pretty cool. But I do like the midnight green too. I like it as a third alternate jersey. I wouldn't mind seeing more of the black jerseys as well. But the Kelly Green Eagles jerseys, that is what I'm thankful for today. Just no other reason than it's just super nostalgic. I wanted to have some fun with this, and I think they look amazing. Looking forward to the Cowboys game, or I guess it's the Giants game. They're going to wear the Kelly Green jerseys again. But either way, love the Kelly Green jerseys, and that's what we're thankful for today. On this day in 1978, the miracle at the Meadowlands, Eagles beat the Giants 19-17 when Joe Pisarcik attempted a handoff to Larry Zonka, fumbled it, Herman Edwards scooped it up, scored, propelled the Eagles to their first playoff berth under Dick Vermeil, and really set the stage for them making that Super Bowl run a couple years later. Let me know who's the bigger dumpster fire, Eagles or the Cowboys, Giants, or Sixers. I don't know. I think I have to go Sixers, but seeing the roof fall on the Cowboys yesterday is hilarious, and like the sheer definition. The Giants starting Tommy Cutlets over Drew Lock because he knows the offense better. I mean, all 3 of these teams are dumpster fires. Like these are like the top 3 Mount Rushmore right now of professional sport dumpster fires, really. But let me know, who's the bigger dumpster fire? Giants, Cowboys, Sixers, 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. I think today is the day that the NL Cy Young will be announced. I don't think that Zack Wheeler's going to win it, but he's certainly up there and is certainly deserving. I think Chris Sale is going to be the one that wins it, but we'll update you on that tomorrow. We'll have more on the Eagles-Rams game as we get closer. Remember, help our neighbors out. Donate to our second annual gift and food drive. The link is in the description, and everything benefits the Mattie N Dixon Community Cupboard in Ambler. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for November 19th, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.